All right, hit it. Welcome, Lawrence County. Yep, it's 5 o'clock, and it's time for the local law enforcement hour. This is your sheriff, John Myers, and our technical advisor, Maddie Hyde.
Hey, sir, how about you shut it for a second? We're already live.
So kick back and stay tuned and enjoy the show.
Wait, before we get started, Blake, go ahead and say that speech you have to give.
Yes, that's what get that disclaimer out of the way.
I love it.
City employee, you know how it is. The opinions and views that I may share today are those of my own. They may or may not reflect the opinions and views of the city of Lawrenceburg and the Lawrenceburg Police Department.
Why do you find why is that so entertaining?
Why?
Maddie?
Is that funny? Because it sure wasn't when I got told I had to say
You've
that.
done a great job. You've done a great job.
So now let's talk.
I've been sick for a while, but I'm feeling a lot better than I have in a long
Praise
time.
the Lord
I
Jesus,
have
because you
been-
were
She was-
grumpy
you were kinda
last time
you were kinda
we were
choppy.
in here.
I have been
Little
sick,
bit.
y'all. I mean, sick. I got,
You
and I'm
were
not
grumpy.
I'm not 100% sure what I had. I'm 99% sure I got a bacteria, some kind of a virus, intestinal virus, and I am 10 pounds lighter.
You didn't
I
even
still-
you didn't even eat lunch.
No, I didn't eat. I mean, I couldn't eat.
You went to lunch, but you didn't eat
I had
lunch.
zero appetite, and I couldn't keep nothing in me. So it was Gatorade, water. I'm finally now I can have a full meal. I can sit down and have. I'm still not 100%. I still don't have much of an appetite, but
Well, you're in
I'm-
a better mood.
Yeah,
I am in a better mood,
a lot better.
and it's good to be in a better mood. I don't
Watch
like
out
it.
with that comb over
I
there.
don't like being grumpy.
You better watch out.
And to your credit, if
He's
you,
feeling feisty
if
today.
you felt as bad as you looked, I'd probably be grumpy too.
Well, thank you.
'Cause
I like
you
that
could
hat.
you could see that you were hurt.
I like that hat though.
Yeah, well the hat.
The hat
a-
is good.
the hat.
a nice.
I
hat
tried
now.
to
Yeah.
I
the
tried
hat
to
now.
steal that, by the way. He wouldn't give it to me.
So my good friend, Chris Hanna. So, well, are you still
He's
a sergeant? Or
back.
have you been promoted?
I'm back.
He's
He's
back.
I'm back.
Chris Hanna, I've been after him about one of these hats, and he finally stepped up. And you can tell, and you can look at his. His is brand new too. It's still got the creases on the side, so he probably got one today. And he said, "Yeah, let me get
He
Myers
says he's
one."
going to get me one.
I'll get you one.
And this good friend of mine hat. Now this is the thing. This is
I need you to try that on for the camera.
That is one of the coolest hats ever. I'm going to wear that a lot this summer because the tops of my ears get roasted in the summer,
Right.
and they start to look like bacon towards like July. And no matter how much sunblock I keep on them, they just get roasted. So I've been wearing a Booney hat. I got a Booney hat and I got another bucket hat. But that one's got the cool emblem on the
Oh,
front.
yeah.
Is that not?
That's right.
That's sweet. That looks like something like Run DMC or something wore back in the.
Run
Run
DMC.
TDMC.
Rerun.
Boys.
Rerun. Remember rerun?
And then I got my old faithful.
It would just be better if you grew your mullet back out
That's coming, but I don't know when. It might
when
be.
you retire.
It's going to be my last term when I buy one of
Do
those
you know
Hellcats.
that he had
I'm gonna
a
buy
mullet?
a Hellcat and I'm gonna grow a mullet.
He's got a problem with the dress, but he will wear a mullet.
Yeah, he wore a mullet.
Well, I mean, we was '80s babies.
That's right.
And he's going to get a bomber
He
jacket.
had one.
But it's
Chris
called
had
something
one.
I
else.
even had hair
A bomber
back then.
jacket
Are
or a
you kidding?
member's
A
jacket?
members only jacket.
only
Get
jacket.
my- yeah,
I even had hair back then. Are you kidding?
What?
I was proud of a mullet.
my daughter was. She was wanting to look through our old yearbook,
Oh, I can't wait
so
for
I dug
this.
it. I dug it out, and that was an hour sitting there listening to her poke fun. And talk about the mullets and the 80s hair, the
I love
VO5
her.
hair,
Yep.
and
3.5-inch eyebrows.
that was she had an absolute blast looking through that thing, and it brought back. You were in there when we saw you.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in there that's dead.
Yep.
There's a lot of people that are in prison.
God rest your soul.
Amen.
And you know what? You know what the truth of the matter is? They thought John and I would be one of the two
Troublemakers?
or in prison for sure.
I mean, I could see that.
yeah.
So
yeah, 100%.
we're accustomed to him having a lot of stories. Should you have a lot of stories, we'll be very interested.
Oh,
in
he
him,
does.
but- yeah. So
I've
come
heard
on,
some.
Just something off
What
the
kind
top
of
your-
story?
about him.
No, I ain't no story.
Oh, don't lie. Bring
Man,
them
no,
out.
dude, I flew under the radar. Man, people didn't know who I was. I always tell people if there was an award for
He laid low.
least likely to succeed, that would have been me. And I thought about getting that tattoo. I seriously thought
Oh,
about
my
getting that
gosh.
tattoo because I had some tattoo work done a while back where I had an old tattoo, an old Marine that I got in the Marines, and it was all gnarly looking and old, and you couldn't hardly read it. So I had a good friend of mine, Brandon Stewart, up in Columbia, in Summertown, that's got the shop right there on Monument Road.
Mm-hmm.
He recolored it and fixed it back up to where it looks like it did when I first got it. But we were talking. He says, "Yeah, man." He says, "I got all kinds of openings in March." He said, "You need to let me pencil you in for something." And
Like literally.
So I got to thinking, least likely to succeed.
You would.
I might.
I mean, so you went with the other instead
Other what?
tattoo on your arm?
Well, he just got it touched
This
up.
one, no, it's different. This is
I mean,
an
I
old
know,
military
but
tattoo.
I was just
that I had.
saying maybe you got them at the same time. I didn't know if you touched up and then
No,
just like,
I
hey,
haven't.
while I'm here.
But I'm not certain I'm going to get it. I'm still thinking about it. But I might.
I would think about it
You know, I get one every couple, 3 years. Just,
every
on a
couple
whim.
3.
Just every couple, 3 years, I get a wild hair, and I'll go, okay.
God,
Plus,
my-
it helps out that guy.
My dad don't dislike them. He just dislikes
Ooh,
them
Gary
on
Wayne
me.
don't like them.
On
Yeah,
me.
that's what it is.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know.
When
that
I
I'm
got
man enough to get one.
Nah.
my dad pretty much calls me an idiot every time I come home with another one.
So, West Tennessee, y'all been keeping up with? I was in Murfreesboro last week at the winter conference, the sheriff's winter conference, and that's one of the big ones. We have a winter and a summer, and pretty much all 95 sheriffs come to those two. And I saw the sheriff there from Blount County, and we normally all the sheriffs kind of hook up in the evenings, and we have a hospitality room. It's a great place to sit around and laugh and joke and get caught up with what's going on in everybody's county and do some information sharing. But I was late getting down there because I had some other stuff that I had to do before I could go to the hospitality room. But anyway, he got the word that his two of his deputies had been shot and one of them got killed.
While he was there?
Yeah.
Oh, my
So he had
gosh.
to he had to get back, and then I saw the press release that he did. And if that don't humble
Oh
you,
my goodness.
I don't know if you haven't seen it, get on there and
Yeah.
watch it. Get on the Blount County Sheriff's Office and look at that press release. It'll break your heart.
This,
you know?
this is what we do this every day. We take it for granted, and when you see something like that, it brings it home about how dangerous. I mean, even in Lawrence County, Tennessee, it just brings back how dangerous what we do every day, and you know what, people. You hear people all the time say, "Well, that's what you get paid for." It is what we get paid for, and by George, we'll do it time after time. We'll put ourselves in harm's way to protect someone. That's just what we do. That's the makeup of what we do. But when you, I got on there yesterday and they were doing the funeral, and I was watching a little bit of that, and all I could see is his picture with his grandbaby. He was holding her. Well, I got a 1-year-old grandbaby, and I'm thinking, my gosh. And this is something else that a lot of people take for granted. The four of us in this room right now, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And live today for today. You know, you gotta plan for tomorrow. There's no doubt about that. But live today for today, and be thankful for. You know, everybody asks, "How you doing?" I'm doing better than I should be. I'm blessed. But when you see something like that, Sheriff, you said it. If that doesn't humble you, something's wrong with you.
It's a wake up call.
Yeah,
and I
no
mean,
doubt.
it's as a supervisor, Captain. You're a supervisor too. You don't ever want to get that call.
Well, it's bad enough when you get the call. But if you get the call, and I assume y'all were in Nashville.
Murfreesboro, yeah.
Murfreesboro. Okay. Well, when you get the call, that's a nightmare. You know you can't do anything except be with your people. Well, now it's a 2.5 hour drive to your people, and the whole time your mind is just exploding with thoughts and sorrow and emotions and stuff like that.
It's a
a bad
family.
day.
It's a family.
That's right.
And I wish I could name every single deputy that I have by their first name and their last name, but honestly I can't. I try. I mean, I'm pretty good with names, but I've got some night shift correctional officers and I'm just being 100% honest. If I walked in right now and spoke to them, I would have to ask them their name. And I mean, we have a huge turnover rate. And I'm not making that as an excuse, but I'm saying that to mean that the Blue family is, it's just like a brother or sister. It's like a blood family. It's like a red family. And yeah, mine's gotten bigger since I got elected, but that don't mean that, I mean, I've got friends at the sheriff's office, people that I've known for a long time, that I don't hang around with them all the time on my off time, but I have some of the deputies that I do. And man, if I got that call that something like that happened, that would hurt.
So for our listeners out there, the Blount County deputy, married, children,
Yes.
obviously has some children because
Yes.
he was holding a grandbaby.
Yes.
What type of, 2 children, 3 children?
I'm not sure
I'm
about
looking right now.
It was a traffic stop, from my understanding, for a simple traffic violation, and it escalated. And I think there was an attempt, or maybe they deployed a taser or attempted to deploy a taser. And at some point, he come out with a firearm and shot both of them. I think the female.
He has 2 children and 1 granddaughter.
that. See,
The female, I think, was able to return fire. I think
Yeah, she did.
the male that got killed, I think he succumbed to his injuries pretty quick.
so think about this, Sheriff. Think about it, Captain. This sheriff has got the pressure that he's lost a deputy, and he's got 1 shot.
Yep.
That's huge. But think of the pressure that he put on himself to make sure this scumbag that shot that deputy
Was taken in.
was going to get caught.
Yeah.
And just before they had the visitation, they arrested that guy. I mean, for somebody to shoot anybody, not just law enforcement, that person's in a weird frame of mind, I think.
Dude, that's evil. I
Yes,
don't care.
yes.
I've seen it. You've seen it. If you've done this line of work
Yes.
long enough, we've all seen it. There's some evil people out there.
That blank stare is real.
That's got evil in their heart, and there's no talking them out of stuff. There's no changing their mind. If you've got that kind of evil in your heart where you're ready to take somebody's life for fear of what? A dadgum traffic ticket? I mean,
Or a warrant for failure to appear?
comply.
Yeah,
That's all you got to do is comply. And if you're halfway considerate, I mean, you might walk away with a warning. You know.
Well, and
We don't go. I don't know any. I've been doing this over 30 years. I've never met not one officer, deputy, agent, whatever, that came to work and said, "Man, I think I'm gonna try to kill
No, that's
somebody
right.
today."
Well,
Not
the,
ever.
The
Not
girl police officer that was involved in this woman, I should say, she was 22 years
22
old.
years old.
Yep.
22.
Young.
She got through in the fire pretty quick, didn't she?
Yeah. But anyway, our hearts go out to that sheriff's office, and the good news is they got him apprehended and got
arrested,
him in
yeah.
custody, and he'll have to answer to the court one day, and better yet, he'll have to answer to a higher power than that.
You better believe that.
And I hope he goes south,
That's right.
as far as I'm concerned.
It's just, I don't know. It's just, we live in a mean world, guys.
We do. We live in an evil world, and you know something. But besides being a supervisor and getting that call, or being a fellow brother or sister in the business, getting that call, I don't know about y'all, but the reason I asked about his children is when I had children. I had children a little bit later than life. My son was born when I was 35.
35.
35.
Wow, he was old.
Okay. So, but what I'm getting at is my outlook on this job immediately changed because I was no longer thinking about myself. And Sheriff, how many times when you wasn't the sheriff that we were fixing to kick through the door on a drug, search warrant? Mayor, you would generally be the point man, and I had no reservations of being the point man because I got a mom and a daddy, but at the time, that's all I had. I was out here doing the Lord's work, having a great time, and surprised they was even paying me for it. But, people don't realize that. Police officers
and
have.
things like that happen here.
Hey,
Our officers do get shot at.
That's right.
They do.
I mean, I've been in a situation like that before where my children's dad has been shot at. You've been shot at.
Yep.
I mean, it happens here.
But what I'm getting at is that deputy, God love him and God bless his soul, knowing that he's just gotten shot in the line of duty and he has children. Folks out there, if you're hearing this, pray for this deputy, pray for his family. It's just a bad deal all the way around.
That's right. It's a bad deal.
No, we were talking about Meigs County, and I hadn't even heard about that.
Yeah.
So what was you saying
So
about
they
the
had
deputy?
a deputy that arrested someone last night, and on the way to the jail, he ran into a river, a creek, or something, and his vehicle went underwater, and they have since found it. Sometime today, the divers went in and found it.
It being the vehicle.
The vehicle,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yes, found the vehicle and pulled it back up, and the arrestee was still in the back of the vehicle. And they still haven't found the deputy. They said his driver's side window was down, but they still hadn't found him. So, that's another tragedy.
It is.
You hear death's death. And doing what we do, you deal with it more than what you want to. And even if somebody is doing something crazy, breaking the law, and they end up dying, that's still a human life.
Absolutely.
That's still a human life. And you know what? They still have a mother and a father.
Yep.
And you have to treat it as such. Yeah, you know what? They made a mistake. Does that mean they're a lesser person? No, most definitely not. It means they made a mistake. Where we're at, the way we look at it, if it's not a mistake after the first time, it's a habit. If it continues, it's a habit. And then that's when we have to do things different. But, talking about just bad situations, there's another sheriff's department possibly have lost a deputy. They've lost an arrestee. So it's a no-win situation.
It is, and talk about the evil and the other stuff out there in the world. Gary Howe, who was one of our former prosecutors, not only was he just an extraordinary litigator, he's a good guy, got a good heart. And we were at the DA's office one day, and you talk about being humbled. I mean, humbled on the spot. One of our local homeless, female that we deal with a lot, was obviously in her prime self, and I said something along the lines of, I wish we had something, I wish we had some type of program to help these meth heads, because they're getting on my nerves. They are. We get so many calls on them, so on and so forth, and he just looks at me and goes, yeah, that's a bad situation. He said, but the situation that first comes to my mind is that somebody's baby girl. And I was like, man, I didn't even... it's hard.
Sure it is.
It put
It's just
itself
like-
back into check.
It's just like the overdoses. I mean, I'll give you a good example. I think we had Narcaned. I think we had administered Narcan. Not us, maybe us and one of the volunteer firefighters had Narcan this girl more times than I can count. She winds up going to jail. She does a little stint in jail. She gets out, and she's not out 2 days, and she's overdosed, dead. They find her, and I mean, it's tragic. And when you keep Narcan in these people, you get cold, you get real abrasive, and you start to shrug it off, and you're like, well, here we go again. She's messed up again, and here we are trying to save her life. So you get that cold approach to it, and then she dies, and then you're looking at her body. And then you start thinking, well, that's somebody's daughter, that's maybe somebody's mama, little sister,
Right.
Somebody's really hurting.
Yep.
And oh man, that's life.
That's
dude.
like we talk about doing the death notification that we have to do. Just think about it. In 15 seconds, we have changed a family's life forever.
Right.
It is never, ever, ever going to be the same when we leave that living room or kitchen area, or it's just never. And you're talking about a pit in the bottom of your stomach.
Now, do y'all take a chaplain with you when you go do it?
No.
So,
Is
what is
there
the
some
process of
Is
that?
there some training that y'all go through?
We do.
In the academy on that?
Yeah.
Because y'all mostly do I mean, I've done, I think, one, maybe two. We don't do that many. I
Yeah.
think, like, if a family member dies in a wreck,
Yeah.
y'all are the ones that.
We go and do the
So
notification.
what kind of training do y'all?
So they teach you how to deliver it. Sometimes people that wear our uniform, not the highway patrol, our uniform, probably don't have good tact
Right.
because they just don't. It could be a military person where they're just always straight to the point, but they teach you to the way you deliver it, what to expect. You got to think there's going to be.
There's going to be shock.
Oh my! I've been swung at. I've had a guy to chase after me. Well, when I say chase after me, he ran toward me.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know what? Let him swing at me. He just lost
Yeah.
way more than any fence
Yeah.
would have connected.
Take it right on the chin.
That's right. That's right. And be there for him.
Yeah.
You ask about the process. So what we do is we knock on the door and we make sure it's who we need it to be. Make sure it's a positive identification because you definitely don't want to deliver a death notification to the wrong person.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we make sure that we have the right person. The way I do it, I ask them if they have someone there. I don't like to do it when they're by themselves.
Yeah.
Just out of respect for the family, and we'll go. A lot of times they know when we knock on the door, it's not good.
Right.
I'll have them to go sit on the couch. We'll sit and I'll tell them.
How many times when they've opened up the door has the first words been out of their mouth, "What's wrong?"
Yep. Yeah, more times than
I,
not.
I,
Yeah.
I never knew that y'all did that. But I guess I've just never, I mean, we see fatal wrecks and things come through like that all the time. I guess I've just never thought past what happens
Yeah.
after a person.
Yep. Every time the trooper that works the crash usually goes and does it, or a supervisor will
Yeah.
go do it. But more times than not, when I've done it, if it's during the daytime and it's not real late, it just seems like every time I do it, the family's at the doggone kitchen table.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Gonna ruin dinner.
Right.
it's awful.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I sit there on the couch, I cry with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say, if they want me to, I'll say a prayer with them. But, I mean, really, in 15 seconds, we have changed that family's life forever.
The last one that I did was when I was with Etheridge, and they were from out of town. And when they got to the police department, they knew that they had been in a wreck, but they didn't know it was a fatality. So I had to inform them that their son didn't make it. And that was a tough one. That's the last one that I done, and that was probably one of the toughest ones.
So I can remember the first one I ever done. It was in Perry County. I mean, we're talking 21 years old. Yeah, 21. I don't think I was
What were you
22
doing in
years.
Perry County?
Working dope.
In Perry County?
Yeah.
You come from Perry County?
No, I started in Lawrence County and I went to Perry County. But anyway, so long story short.
How come I'm just now finding out? I mean, I don't mean to interrupt you, but man, Perry County's got me messed up. What happened? How'd you wind up in Perry County?
He came back. That's all that matters.
I had an offer. And
You ain't got to yell at me. I was just asking.
If
Well, maybe
we'd go
he's grumpy
fishing-
this week. Leave
if
him
we'd
alone.
Go fishing more, maybe you'd know more. But no, so long story short, I heard that patrol had a bad wreck, and I go there, and it for all intents and purposes, it looks like an elderly gentleman probably had a heart attack because no other cars involved. To my knowledge, I think he hit a tree or something. Wearing a seatbelt, wasn't banged up at all, but you could tell that he was deceased. So the older, more experienced deputy who was there was like, this is bad, but in my opinion, this is not bad to what we're fixing to go face. And he said, we're going to do the death notification. So I go with him, and we pull up to the house, and he said, okay, you're going to do this. Well, excuse me, he asked me if I ever done one before. I told him no. He said, okay, this one's yours. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And he's like, yes, you are. He said, and it's like this. You are as respectful, and you use your manners as much as you can. Right out the gate, you let them know that we're going to be here for them, but you don't hem haul around. You just tell them, ma'am, I'm sorry to inform you, but your husband has passed away. in a traffic accident today. He said, and then you shut your mouth and let them do what they need to do. And oh my gosh, guys, I'm telling you, I can still picture driving up in that driveway. I can't feel my legs.
It's a long drive, ain't it?
That's a short driveway, but it was a long drive. You're exactly right. And oh my goodness. So,
Well, on a lighter note,
on a lighter note,
this we're going to get off all this sorrowful stuff and our. So I was at the expo last month, right? And the expo is where all the vendors come and they solicit your business to buy their products. And I think there was 105 vendors there in this, so, and they got the coolest stuff, man. A lot of it's for the jail, right? A lot of it is audio communication, tablets, and all this stuff for the inmates, commissary, video visitation. Operating programs for the locking mechanisms. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. But some of them have got some pretty cool products, and they've got a glove, a shocker glove.
Oh, I saw that.
I was just sitting here going, oh, right,
They got a shocker glove that you put on, and you just grab dude,
Uh-huh.
and it hits him like 50,000 volts.
Oh my.
Well, they was out there demonstrating it and everything, you know, and so it catches my eye. Of course, I'm all about unconventional
volunteer?
tactics, so I'm like, I got to go check out the glove, the shocker glove, you know. So, and we're talking, me and some other sheriffs are talking about this glove and listening to some of these sheriffs. Some of the crap they said about that glove had me in the floor laughing at these idiots
How many
talking
you have
about
ordered?
None. I'm not getting them.
know, my luck,
There's no way I would buy one. I wouldn't buy if you couldn't run me down and give me one because somebody would get killed. I would be the first sheriff in Tennessee to kill somebody with that glove.
No, I'd be the first officer in Tennessee to get killed by using the glove because there would be a short, and I would just sit there and just shake all to myself.
It was that glove is I thought real hard about getting one, but then
So what about AI? Do they have a lot of AI items up there at the expo?
Yes. Do you know how terrifying that is?
Because
right.
I've seen.
It really does. It is so easy to use.
So either
But Tennessee legislation is trying to have a bill against that.
No, I
I don't know
didn't.
the specifics of it, but I think the Tennessee legislators are having some kind because of the music rights.
Yeah.
They want to the governor. This is big on the governor's table because Tennessee's known for live music and music in general. He said we don't need computers. We got people that can do it.
Yeah. Well, do you know like Chat GBT? Is that what it's called? But it is literally something. You can type in what you want it to say and just put like, "Hey, I need to write an apology letter to the sheriff for
I've seen
this,"
that. I've seen
Oh,
that.
and
yeah.
be
It's an
like,
app.
just say kind of like a light heartfelt message
You
or
can-
something,
you
and
can-
it will literally type that note for you.
So
It can
law
type- it can type a
schools.
speech for you too.
Law
You just-
schools were having a big problem with this because it could say, I need a 2,500 word essay, State versus Jones, but I need a liberal opinion, not a conservative opinion.
Bam. Like
It's
less than a
crazy.
minute. Like it just pops up and you can copy paste it and be like, okay, here's my apology to the sheriff.
Something else. I've been looking for a older police car for the sheriff's office.
With the breather right or upside down?
Up the wrong side. The wrong way. So it'll moan. You got to make it moan.
That's right.
No, so I've been looking for the old C10, the C1 Caprice, because that was the first one that I got when I started on the road in 96,
Man,
5 or
was that
6.
the
I'm over here
Turbo
like, what's
Or
a
the regular
regular
one?
one?
No, it was the
I don't
square
know what it
front.
is.
Was the square front.
The box. Yeah,
Caprice.
box car. Yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
with the
about.
big
gotta look
motor,
this
the
up.
big souped up motor,
Yeah.
and it had the oversized
Had
disc
the chrome
brakes, and had
hubcaps on.
that super awesome transmission, and
That's right.
the wiring harness hard. Anyway, so I've been looking for one. Well, one of our local buddy of mine, local business owners, sent me some pictures. He found one in Arkansas,
Uh-oh.
and I think I figured out how to get it because it's a police package vehicle. Sure, it's 30-something years old. It's a police package vehicle. So my plan is to get it and get it here, and then we're going to restore it. And then I've got same guy has got one of the old Street Hawk
Oh,
rotators,
my gosh.
the light bars with
Yep.
the speaker in the middle.
Yep.
Yep. And I'm going to fix that baby up just like I had in 1996. And that's going to be the what we take to schools, what
Yep,
we lead
yep,
parades,
yep.
maybe some funerals, take to the fair, do all that stuff with.
If that doesn't scream Duck Mercs, I don't know what does.
Bruce Durham. I'm going to paint it Bruce Durham brown and put
So
that
is that
put
what
that
you're
star.
talking about?
Yes, sir.
Well, you got to put in the C10
I put in C1, and this obviously is a dinosaur because I
yeah,
can't hardly
C1. Has it
find
got the spotlight up there on the left?
No.
Well, then it's not the right one because it's got to have the spotlight on it.
Gosh, I can't believe
No,
I think I
I'm gonna
You
show
know,
it
they
right
had
here.
that- the next version of that Caprice had the fender was
The 9C1 police package Chevy Caprice. I'm getting it.
okay.
I'm getting
I've
one.
seen them before.
I'm getting one. Before I'm out of office, I'm gonna have it, and I'm gonna have it fixed up. I am. And it's gonna take me back to Motley Crue in the cassette deck.
oh
and
yeah.
I might even grow my mullet. But yeah, I'm fixing to get it. There's another one right here that was just sent to me a little while ago. It is look at this ride. If you want to see a gym, look at that baby.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Was that a
whenever-
1966?
Talk to me.
Oh, it's a
Put
61.
Put a green stripe down the side of it and a sheriff's star on it.
Ford Fairlane, any day of the week. Ford Fairlane, Andy Griffith. I mean, put a V8 in it and go to work.
Best police vehicle ever made.
Crown Vic.
Crown Vic
That's right.
Interceptor.
Yep.
There's no
Best
doubt.
one ever made.
Hands down.
Yep.
So this year they've came back out with it. It's my understanding. They released it, I think, in New York. Looks tough.
Oh, we're gonna have to pull it up.
It does.
V8?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an Interceptor.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, looking forward to that. I think Ford took a big hit when they decided to stop making that. Some of us older guys that's been in it for a while.
Yeah.
Now wait a
That
minute. You're
Crown
saying
Vic-
Ford is coming back out with the Crown
with
Vic?
the Crown Vic Interceptor? Yeah, it looks. Yep.
Oh wow.
That's it.
It's a good looking car.
Did y'all hear that Dodge is discontinuing the Durango and they're going to something else?
Oh, I haven't heard of the Durango. I know they're not doing the Charger anymore.
They're discontinuing the Durango and it's a different SUV and they're making it in a police package.
See, we just.
I mean, why didn't they make one that was like black and white like the original ones? I mean, they got a nice silver one.
I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it.
that almost looks
What
like.
about it coming back?
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
That's
already back.
I'll believe it when I see
it's
it.
back.
That's
Man,
that's like a concept. That's a concept car picture. I mean, they're making the F-150s now. They're
Always
making the
gotta
electric.
rent it some
F-150.
way.
Well, yeah, but people ain't buying them.
No, you're right.
I'm gonna buy an electric one.
You are
For
not.
what? As
Well, I
a
might.
Yard
You are
ornament?
not. Do not even say that.
Yeah, for a police package, Ford F-150, that Lightning one, electric one. Why not? I mean,
You
For-
don't even have a charger.
think of how much money I could save the county on fuel if I had one.
True.
See? Plug it up at the station while I'm there. Unplug it, drive it home.
But you
I'd
got to get a
save 'em
charger.
save them a bunch of money. I hope I live long enough to see the day when there's an alternate power source, when we don't have to rely on fossil fuel, we don't have to rely on gasoline. I hope I live long enough to see the day of the end of the gas combustion engine. And it's not electric. I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's electric or what, but I hope I live. I hope my grandkids can sit around and tell their kids, you know, back when we was kids, they had cars that run on gasoline and would blow up, you know.
They
if you
have that
wrecked them or
vehicles that ride up down the side of the road in Etheridge.
something. A buggy?
But you know
Even
what?
better. Even better. I hope the grid totally collapses, the satellites fall out
Stop
of the sky,
it! Stop!
and we go
stop,
back to
stop.
those days.
You're
I would
gonna
be
give people anxiety.
I would be the happiest sheriff ever. I would. My job would be 1,000 times easier.
There
Yeah,
would be sheer
because
panic.
There would be no telephone calls to 911. There would be nobody
know.
wrecking vehicles.
There would be sheer
Gosh,
panic.
he doesn't mean that.
I know.
I watch them doomsday stuff every now and then. I forgot how many hundreds of thousands of people would die of starvation within the first 20 days. It was crazy. I mean, crazy. And
We got the Amish in our
and
county,
we
man.
do, but
we just
hey,
gotta protect
a lot of
the
people
Amish.
don't know
That's right.
this. They
We just gotta
outsource.
protect
The
Amish.
majority of
Protect the
them
Amish.
outsource now, vegetable wise.
That's right.
Outsource more than they do insource. So yeah, what's going on in Georgia?
I'm not going there.
Oh, I will. Y'all been watching that trial? Y'all been watching any of it?
I haven't.
Well, all I'm going to say is this. If you're going to go after a man that has unlimited amounts of money to hire teams, not just a single attorney, but teams of attorneys. I don't know how many attorneys he has retained, but I bet it's a bunch.
No.
If you're going to go after somebody like that, you better be squeaky clean.
Oh, that's it. Don't point fingers if
You
you
better
got some
be
dirt.
squeaky clean because, man, I'm telling you. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've been trying to keep up with a little bit. It doesn't. I mean, it looks bad.
So because I work like a barred mule, I have
Borrowed mule.
Borrowed.
Yeah.
He didn't pronunciate
I'm
it like
sorry.
he should.
So
Barred
is
mule.
this the trial? Is this her show cause trial for the alleged misconduct, or is this Trump's trial for the election interference?
No, you're right. The first time, I think the prosecution is trying to kick her off.
Gotcha.
They want her kicked off, and they're trying to say no. And I don't know. I haven't been able to watch all of it, but the bottom line is, if you're gonna go after somebody like that, you better not have any skeletons in the closet.
It's just like our job. Credibility. We
Goes a
don't
long
have
way.
it. We're nothing.
Oh, you lose your credibility in this job,
You're done.
You're done.
You're done.
Hang your
Anywhere
hat
you
up.
go, it's going to follow you forever.
Hang your hat up.
That's right.
Find another line of work. Put the gun belt over there in the corner.
Yep.
I was talking to a guy the other day who's out of state, and he was talking about how in his state that their equivalency to post, whatever it is, we're now waiving crimes in your criminal history. And he was talking about how DUI, if you just had one that was longer than 10 years ago, that their commission was considering waiving it with a petition or a request from whatever agency was whatever agency was hiring the young man or young woman. And I was like, that's going to be pretty embarrassing to be on a stand testifying about how you arrested someone for DUI, if you have a DUI arrest in your past. And he just looks at me, he's like, but then again, if you've been arrested for it, you should know what drunk is. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's where we're going these days.
Yeah.
That's where we're going.
Well, one of the first things that I did when I took office was I got body cameras. A few of the deputies had them, a few didn't. We had a few dash cams. We didn't have dash cams in every vehicle. And we was able to secure a grant that paid for a pretty good chunk of it with some match money. And we got a really good system now, body camera system. So, and it helps. And I preach this to the younger guys. That camera's your friend.
Absolutely.
Better believe it.
Trust that camera. Make sure you change your conduct when it's on. I mean, you can screw yourself on that camera too.
Yep.
Just remember that it's recording everything, and every time you turn it on, you have to imagine that it probably can be played in front of a crowded, busy courtroom, in front of a jury. Mm-hmm. And so remember, your conduct is important. You have to get in that mindset when you turn it on. Now, the courts have ruled that, if you've had an adrenaline dump in a high-speed chase or you're in a fight or something, that they've given us some leadway on our language and our conduct,
right,
because they understand that when you have an adrenaline dump, you don't know what you're saying. You don't know what you're doing. Sometimes you're just relying totally on your training. I've had them, and I've said things that I don't even remember saying. And watching the footage later, I'm like, that's not me. That's not me saying that. I never said that's not something I would say. Mm-hmm. But it is, because you don't have any real control over what you're saying. Like I said, you're relying on your training. So, and I preach that to these guys. That camera's your friend.
Yeah.
So even if your credibility isn't that great, you can still show the court that, hey, this is what happened, because that body camera puts everybody in the courtroom right in your shoes. See it all, hear it all, everything.
Yeah. Thing about it is, policing has changed.
It has.
The last, let's say, 5 years, policing has changed. I mean, why would anybody deal like we do professionally with the public without a camera? Why would you even think that? Because if you do something that, in today's time, if you think about it, if we're dealing with our youth, well, it's not their fault, it's somebody else's fault.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't do if you don't do exactly what they think, the next thing you know, they're going to say you mistreated them, or you did this, or you did that. Hey, what is it they say? There's three sides to every story. Your side, their side, and the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
The camera's not going to lie.
And that's it. And one of the positions that I take on it is a camera don't make a cop better. A camera will make a good cop better.
That's right.
Okay. Because if you're out here, if you're wearing I'm about to get on soapbox. If you're out here wearing a badge and doing a lot of stuff that you should not be doing, that camera will be one of the first things that brings that to light. So if you're a good cop, and I don't believe there's a such thing as a bad cop, I think that's an oxymoron. Okay. But if you're a good cop out here honestly trying to do what is right, as people say, the Lord's work, that camera will save you time again and time again.
Have y'all got them yet?
We have not, sir.
Y'all don't have body cams?
No, sir, we don't.
You're still in the process. I think y'all are working on it,
I
back
hope
and
so.
forth on it.
Yeah.
Y'all got them.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm telling you right now, let me tell you the Tennessee Highway Patrol's stance on the body camera. If you make a traffic stop and your camera's not working because you failed to do what you needed to do, now they're going to malfunction. I'm talking about if you're a negligence as a trooper, they're fixing to deal with you. There's no gray area for that. Our general order says anytime you deal with the public, whether it's a traffic stop or any professional meeting with the public, you will have your body camera on. And I'm telling you,
We adopted a fairly detailed policy on ours. The short version is you turn it on for every encounter, whether it's a consensual encounter, whether it's a detained person, doesn't matter, whether it's a call. And it's pretty detailed as far as when you turn it on and when you turn it off. But as far as punishment for failing to do that, if you're involved in an incident and you fail to record it, now I understand that we've all been there, that in the heat of a moment you might forget. You roll up to 1082 with somebody and you get out and you go hands on. Yeah, but just negligence. Mm-hmm. You do it once, you get a verbal. You do it twice, you get a written. You do it 3 times, 2 weeks off without pay.
2 weeks. Yeah.
That's the policy. And then the 4th time is you go home. It's chicken,
chicken
or beef.
You ain't figured it out. You know, if you ain't figured it out by the 4th time, you're probably not going to figure it out.
Some of my guys are starting to know what I mean when I say chicken or beef. Mm-hmm. Chicken or beef. I don't know if y'all know that term or where it comes from, but I learned that when I was overseas on some of my adventures working for the UN and some other people. If you got in trouble overseas and you got repatriated, you got a plane ticket and they put you on it and you went home. And when you got on that international flight,
They asked you what you wanted to
the
eat.
stewardess would come by and say, "Do you want chicken or beef for your meal?" So that's where that
wow.
term comes from.
Yeah.
So when I say chicken or beef, that means you're going back home.
But the thing about it is, as department heads, or higher captain, I mean, you're looked at a little more different than I am as a road sergeant because you are the head. And think about it. If these people make a complaint on a deputy, a city police officer, or a trooper, and they have no proof, how can you defend the officer, number one? And number two, it doesn't show the transparency that people think we ought to show them in today's world. I mean, think about it. Everything that we do is scrutinized. Everything.
Well, you hit it best when you said that policing has changed, and the reason policing has changed is because society has changed.
That's right.
That's just like when an officer has to go hands-on with somebody or use more force than just hands-on, that's not an officer being abusive. That is an officer's response to their resistance. And, social media and TikTok has changed our younger generations. We've hit on that several times, but you're right. Policing has changed, and the reason policing has changed is because society has changed, and the need for body cams is as great now as they ever have. Because again,
That's right.
and in high stress situations, your recollection of what happened due to stress, adrenaline, so on and so on, may not necessarily be what exactly happened. So again, your side, my side, and the body camera is
That's
the
right.
truth.
And, well, I tell the guys that I work with over in Hickman County, I said, take your camera, take your videos, and sit and watch them. Critique yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do to be better? What can you do to be safer? I mean, we have a stretch of I-40 over there, and it's awful. It's awful to work. It's terrible. And I tell them all the time, I said, hey, watch your videos on I-40. Make sure that you're making your traffic stop safe when you're on that interstate. Make sure you're not in the line of fire when somebody's coming by. Because these people driving on the interstates don't care to buzz you and try and blow your hat off or whatever. I mean, that's
terrible.
but it's
You ever
the
been
truth.
sued?
Have I ever been sued?
You've been sued, hadn't you? No, you hadn't? I'm the
No,
only
sir.
one that's ever been sued?
No,
Well,
sir,
let me
I
tell
haven't.
you something.
Praise God.
When you see your name in bold print at the top of that lawsuit, and then you see the dollar amount in bold print, it'll make your heart stop.
Yeah.
I can remember that's the only time I've ever been. Well, I mean, the department's been sued since I've been. There's lawsuits. I don't want to say all the time, but I think we've had 3 or 4 lawsuits in the jail, for various reasons. But me individually, I got sued when I was at the task force, and I can remember. And have I told this story?
You've
You've
told
told
this
it.
story, but I don't know.
If
It
I've
was a
told
long time ago.
If I've told it, I won't retell it. But I'll just say that the dash cam
Saved you.
saved me, because if I wouldn't have had that dash cam going, it would have been that guy's word against mine.
That's right.
And dude pulled off. He must have pulled off the next exit and totally destroyed his vehicle and took pictures of it and claimed that I did it.
Yeah.
That's how far he went to make it look like I did what he accused me
That's
of.
how people are.
But my dash cam totally saved me on it. So I use that all the time to make sure the guys know.
Talking about people like that, I'll tell you an analogy. I think that our younger generation are not mentally, not thick-skinned and tough. I mean, even people that we're having to hire now, some of them are still kids, you think.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just talking about that, just about how society has changed. And somebody that, I won't say their name, but somebody said that when we were talking about getting these people tougher, he said, you can never tell these kids never held a flashlight for my dad.
Right.
And,
I know
and,
exactly
and
what
by
that
George,
means.
I mean, you think about it. If something
Yeah.
went wrong, you're standing there and you're holding it because
Yep.
you know what's coming. You're still holding it. The next thing you know, he bashes a knuckle or something. He's yelling at you for not holding the flashlight.
Right.
You're like,
Or you got a cow in the barn, something.
But society has changed. Respect. The word respect is not used like it used to be.
So yesterday, I took the youth leadership class for a tour through the jail. I do it every year. I think the chamber puts it on, and
They do.
And I do it every year. And last year, and I can't remember the year before,
That was my class.
but I can remember. What?
I think we all went together that
These
day.
are kids. These are
I
teenagers.
know. I think we were intertwined
You
like
haven't
adult.
been a teenager in like 20 years.
Okay, first off, whoa, we're not talking about age here. But when we did that day, it was the youth leadership class and the adult leadership class.
Oh well,
They're the same thing,
This was all
just different ages.
This was all youth. Last year and this year, I asked them, raise your hands. Does anybody want to get in law enforcement? So far, last year and this year, 0. I'm still batting 1,000 or 0.
No, you're batting 0.
Batting 0. I haven't, not one has raised their hand yet and there was probably
There's usually about 20 to
15, 20 kids in this one, 15, 20 kids in that
And
one.
the
And the one kid, I said, well, all right. I said, so anybody want to tell me why they have no interest in it? And the kid said money. And I said, I get that. I said, but find me one officer, one deputy, one state trooper that does it for the money. I said, we don't do it for the money. We do it because we help out our community and we sleep good at night. That's why we do it. But they don't have that.
Yeah.
They don't have that mindset. You
Well,
know, they don't have that.
We were
thought
just talking
process.
before we come on air about entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you kidding me? Come on, you gotta. As a baby, you have to crawl before you walk. You have to take in those steps. Well, before you can lead a department or be a supervisor of a department, learn the job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, John and I started out in the jail.
Yep. A long time
And the personal
ago.
sacrifice, you know,
That's right.
if you want to get ahead, if you want to make rank, if you want to be put in certain positions, give your boss a good reason to think
That's
why
exactly
you'd be
right.
good in that position instead of just you putting your name in a hat.
No, that's exactly right.
So y'all getting the what do they call them? The tag readers?
LPRs.
LPR.
To
LPR.
my understanding, yeah, we're getting
Oh,
several
let
of
me
them.
tell you,
Huh?
they're legit.
They're legit.
So explain them to me because I've heard both sides, pros and cons. And there was a one of the vendors at Murfreesboro last week. I don't know if it was an LPR, but it was something like that. It was some stationary. It's called a bird dog, but it was some kind of a stationary thing that I think read the tag and had speed in it at the same time.
Our LPRs don't do the speed.
And I don't know if these do, so I have a very narrow understanding about what these do, because that's not been my thing.
Y'all's are mounted on your vehicles,
On the
That's the
four
big
corners.
things you
Four
see.
corners. Yep.
and then
So it's my understanding these will be stationary license plate readers. It's also my understanding that they are not conserving this data for long periods of time. And I know we have a bunch of constitutionalists out there who say this is a violation of their rights, which if you truly understand what our systems will be doing, we're not worried about you going to Walmart every Thursday afternoon at 4:45. Okay, these LPRs are mainly set up for two things: catching bad guys who are in vehicles that we need to catch, and God forbid, whenever we have another murder. If we know that the murder took place over here at Springer Road and East Gaines and they headed west, we know what LPRs will likely have picked up license plates within that time frame. And then from there, we can go and start looking at other LPRs, program some suspect registrations into the bigger database, and at the end of the day catch bad people who are doing bad things. We're not worried about what our everyday good citizens are doing. This is, at the end of the day, this is to do nothing more than catch bad guys. We're not worried about your personal business.
What ours do is it'll read the tag. When the information comes back on the 28, it'll tell you if the subject has warrants, sex offender, anything like that. It's a very useful tool. I tell you what we do sometimes is we'll take it to roadblocks, put it in the roadblock when people come by. They'll run their tag, and if there's a hit, we've got a warrant right there. But now you have to be careful because it does it on the registration and not the driver.
Yeah.
So
So you always have to make sure that you
that's right.
check
That's
the
right.
license and
So
driver.
think about this: if you got a deputy at South Lawrence School, and they're sitting there working school traffic, and there goes off for a sex offender, well, they just violated.
The sex offender
well, let me
registry-
ask you
That's
this.
exactly right.
Let me ask you this. Say, for example, it picks up a tag and it automatically runs it, and then that name pops up in NCIC. Is that PC to stop
Yes,
that
sir.
vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Even though you don't know if that person's in that vehicle, that's PC for
It
you to
hit
stop
on
it.
it. It hit on it. Yes.
So again, I don't know.
I don't know if that would that hold up in court?
Yeah, we do it all the time.
Well, there's a court case. We just went through a law review on V Academy that touched on that about the cans and can'ts whenever LPRs are involved.
So I got to borrow my buddy's vehicle because the brakes went out on mine, and I get stopped, and they come up and they say, "Hey, are you so and so?" I'm like, "No." Well, this is his car. Yeah, he let me borrow it.
Mhm.
That's a good stop.
That's a good stop.
That's good. It's good faith.
Yeah.
You got probable cause because it's a hit. I mean, you go into the house if you got.
It's a hit on the owner of the vehicle, not the vehicle.
Well, and
Well, wait a second. What if you know John Q. Public has a warrant and they go in their cousin's house over here and you know they're in their house?
so let me.
It's not their house, but they're in it.
Exactly. But I'm with you. I'm just playing devil's
Yeah.
advocate. I'm thinking in a court of law, if say for example, I got a bag of meth on me, and you stop me because the LPR said the owner of the vehicle had a warrant, and even though I'm telling you, no, that's not me. Here's my driver's license. He just let me vehicle. You start getting suspicious. You get me out. You start checking me and looking at me, and then you ask if you can pat me down. You find a bag of meth. I think I can get that thrown out in court.
Okay.
Fruit of the
Poisonous tree.
Poisonous
okay.
tree.
So again, I'm not an attorney.
I should be an attorney.
I'm just telling you what. I'm just telling you what I've learned in school.
We just beat
I
you.
would be terrified.
So-
We just beat him.
Okay. So you had probable cause for the traffic stop. All right. You get up there and it's not Chris, it's John. All right. We're looking for Chris. You had probable cause for the traffic stop. So we have probable cause for that encounter. You get up there and you see that it's Chris. It ain't John. From that moment, that is a consensual encounter. If he has not gave you anything to build your pyramid on for reasonable suspicion that a crime is
How can
is
it be a
occurring-
consensual counter if you got blue lights behind me?
That's the basis for the stop. The probable cause has been made for the stop.
So once you go up there and you determine that the guy that's in the vehicle isn't the owner,
And
you
he's-
got to cut him loose.
And he says, "I want."
what
to
if you
leave
got
now."
what if you got indicators? What if you got a
That's plain view.
freaking what if you got a
That's
pipe?
plain view.
Plain
You're
view.
golden.
But the
You're good.
reason for the stop,
It don't
It's
matter
still
if you have-
legitimate. The reason for the stop's legitimate.
I can get that beat in court.
Nah, you can't.
Straight
Okay.
up,
Well, I
beat
hate to
that
tell
in
you,
court.
but you're out of time.
All right, everybody, we'll continue this conversation in 2 weeks. Seriously, I want to do some. I'm gonna check some case law on this.
I can give you case law. I can give you case law for that, and I can give you case law.
All right, bye, y'all.
Not too bad.
Everybody
See
say
y'all.
bye.
Bye.